Magic the Gathering Foundations is an amazing set that I'm super stoked about, but it's missing one thing. We didn't get any commander-specific product. There are no pre-constructed commander decks, which means there's no commander slot inside the packs that we're opening. So you're not pulling any commander cards, except you are, because there's still really good cards for commander. So this is going to go over all of the new cards that we got from Magic the Gathering Foundations, perfect for commander. We did get some amazing reprints, such as Doubling Season for Commander. This is the cutest card, and I can't wait to see everyone getting this and playing this. It's the best version. I love it so much. So there are some good Commander reprints, but this video is focusing on the new Commander cards that we got. We're going to go in Wooburg order, and the first card we're looking at is Erebos, the First Fang, our legendary creature for mono white. It's doing the basic white thing with +1/+1 counters and making tokens, focusing on cat typal. I think this will be a great mono white commander option, especially because Erebos was traditionally a Selesnya card, so green-white. So having it here in mono white is really exciting. We're focusing on Dazzling Angel next. It gives me Soul Sister vibes, so whenever another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. I think it's really exciting for life gain, which is also another typical white spell thing, but having it as a 2/3 flyer here really amps it up. It's not going to go in every deck. It is a more casual card, but having it be a reminiscent Soul Warden, Soul Attendant, Soul Sister vibes as a flyer and an angel, it's going to be perfect for my Gisela deck. I'm very excited. Speaking of angels, we also have Exemplar of Light, a 3/3 angel with flying, also focusing on life gain and +1/+1 counters. This also has a trigger where you can draw a card, so it's only triggering once each turn, but it is going to be a trigger, and it's something that we can force to happen. So getting all these +1/+1 counters from life gain is going to be perfect as a card draw option in Commander for mono white. We also have Sky Knight Squire as another cat. This is a 1/1, and again, focusing on those +1/+1 counters. Whenever another creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on Sky Knight Squire. As long as this creature has 3 or more counters on it, it also has flying and is a knight in addition to its other types. Knight typal is really strong. It's a perfect intro into aggro for Boros, red-white. So I think this will be an exciting thing to do, but having it as a cat also gives you options, focusing back on that +1/+1 counter theme with Erebos. Lastly, I want to talk about my favorite card type, which is enchantments. We get this mythic on Valkyrie's Call. This is like the ultimate mono white enchantment for me. It's making sure that I have my creatures on the battlefield, so if you kill it, remove it, it dies to battle, whatever, I'm getting it back with a +1/+1 counter, and it's an angel, so I'm like so in love with this, very excited. Enchantment removal is also difficult, and people don't like to run removal at all, let alone enchantment removal, so this is most likely going to stay on your battlefield once it hits. Focusing on mono blue now, we have Kiora the Rising Tide as a 3/2 legendary creature for our commander. She has Threshold whenever she attacks, and there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, which for a commander, that's going to be an easy thing to do. You can create a Scion of the Deep, a legendary 8/8 blue octopus creature token. If that wasn't enough, you also have her entering and giving you 2 card draw and then discarding 2 cards. So lots of options here. Blue does a lot of blinking, so that'll be a lot of fun for the card draw manipulation. But if you're really just wanting to focus on pumping out those 8/8 blue octopus creature tokens, that's going to be a great option for you as well. I'm introducing a new counter spell, Refute. Counter target spell, draw a card, discard a card. And I love the flavor text here. I said no. I think it's so funny. But anyways, the card draw on top of a counter spell is perfect for a mono blue card. I think this is obviously going to be a staple. The 2 blue pips and really just the 3 CMC might be a little hard for people to get around, especially when they're just things like counter spell. But the fact that you're able to do multiple things is really strong and definitely should not be overlooked for that 3 CMC. Next, we have Sphinx of the Forgotten Lore as a mythic. It has flash and flying, and whenever it attacks, target instant or sorcery card in a graveyard gains flash back until end of turn equal to its CMC. Obviously, getting all of your stuff to have flashback is insane. I know us spell slinging players want to make sure that we're getting our things back even if they're in the graveyard, so this is just really, really strong, and the fact that it itself has flash, you're able to do all kinds of shenanigans. Lunar Insight is an awesome sorcery, having you draw a card for each different mana value among non-land permanents you control. It is a sorcery, so you want to make sure you're playing this strategically and being specific about the type of card draw that you want. Obviously, this is a later game play card, but for only a 3 CMC, if you're playing this late game anyways, you're going to have tons of mana left over to do all kinds of stuff with all of those cards that you're drawing. So I think this is a really good card draw engine. Now we have High Fate Trickster, a 4/2 fairy wizard. Fairies and wizards are two typal spells and creatures that we love to see. So this is a perfect typal card added into your Italian deck, a Layla deck, whatever. It also has flash and flying, and you can cast spells as though they had flash. Huge here. Blue loves playing shenanigans. You love pulling one over on your opponent. So being able to play anything as if it had flash is going to be huge. It also has a 3 and 1 blue CMC, so that's not too bad. As a 4/2, it's going to be great. You want to add this everywhere. There's actually going to be a couple more for blue. We're really popping off for blue. We also got another Sphinx, Curator of Destinies, a 5/5 Sphinx, can't be countered, flying creature. Whenever it enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library and separate them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. Opponent chooses one of those piles, put the pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. I love this. It reminds me so much of Fact or Fiction, which is one of my all-time favorite cards. So having this as a creature that can't be countered means your shenanigans are going through. We are having fun. We're playing all the games. Your opponents might not like this, but being able to do any kind of little bit of chaos, I think is fun. I know generally Commander players, Magic players don't like chaos, but this is a good way of introducing it because it can't be countered and it's not that crazy. So being able to have the options here, I think, is a little bit of a fun spice up into your gameplay strategy. Finally, we're going to look at Archmage of Runes. It's a giant wizard, again, 2 typals that are really fun. As a 3/6, and instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. We love it. We want our spells to cost less. I want my mana for other things. But also, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. Again, essential in mono blue. We're casting all the spells. We're doing all the instants. We're psych rifting, whatever. Counterspell, days. So being able to have all this card draw is amazing. And maybe you don't need to run that Rhystic Study if you have spells like this. Moving on to mono black, we have Zol Asher Lich Lord. It's a 2/2 zombie warlock with ward paying 2 life. It also has a super low CMC of 1 and 1 black. So if you're getting this knocked off the battlefield, ideally, it's going to be super easy for you to bring this back, and the Ward of Pay 2 Life is really nice protection here. But let's look at its ability. You can tap it and cast any target zombie creature card from your graveyard this turn. That's crazy. Zombie typal is already insane, but being able to have this as just tap your commander, do the thing, and it also has Ward of Paying 2 Life. Yeah, life is a resource, but at the end of the day, that's how you die. You're going to die to your life going bye-bye. So at the end of the day, people are not going to want to pay that. And zombie typal, I think, is really good. So having another option here for zombie typal decks, I think, is really exciting. But also exciting, we got a new Tiny Bones Bauble Burglar. He's a skeleton rogue, also with a low CMC of 1 and a black, and he's a 1/3. Whenever an opponent discards a card, exile it from their graveyard with a stash counter on it. During your turn, you may play cards you don't own with stash counters on them from exile, and spending mana as any type to cast them. You can also tap 3 and a black and Tiny Bones to have each opponent discard a card, but only activating as a sorcery. So again, I think Tiny Bones lovers are just going to love this card. He's a cool skeleton rogue. Rogues are really exciting, but at the end of the day, being able to cast your opponent's cards is just going to be really satisfying. You're going to have a different gameplay every single time, and that's what I love. I want my games to be different. I don't want it to be expected. So being able to cast my opponent's spells ensures that that happens. Let's look at some other spells. Okay, we got Arbiter of Woe, a 5/4 demon. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sack a creature, also has flying, and whenever this creature enters, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life, and you draw a card and gain 2 life. So this is going to be perfect for all kinds of decks. We got Demon Typal, we have mill decks, sacrifice decks, life gain decks. This card has options. It's going to be huge. It's not going to be your game win strategy, but it's always going to be fun to play, and having this on hand for any EDH deck is great because it does really well in multiple decks. High Society Hunter is pretty cool as a Vampire Noble, 5/3 flyer. Whenever this creature attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on High Society Hunter. It also has whenever another non-token creature dies, draw a card. We love seeing card draw in anything other than blue, so high points to High Society Hunter on that. Thank you so much. But I also love the +1/+1 counter thing. I don't know, this thing also has options. We're doing black, we're doing stack, so at the end of the day, this can also go in different types of things, but the fact that it's a 5/3 flyer also will do well. Bloodthirsty Conqueror as a mythic, flying Death Touch, hello, as a 5/5, and whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Obviously, this pops off in combos super hard. We love the life gain combo, Exsanguinate and Blood Pact, or whatever the frick that, what is that? Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood. Gosh dang, what a tongue twister. But you guys know what I mean. We got the obvious infinite combo on the life gain strategy here. So this is just another card that's able to help you get there. So this is going to go in all kinds of deaths. But the fact that this has Death Touch, oh my word, that's so good. In my books, Death Touch counts as removal, so that's going to be huge here. But obviously it's a mythic, it combos, it's super strong. Now we have Seeker's Folly, a sorcery costing 2 and a black, and choose one. Either target opponent discards 2 cards, or creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn. Obviously, the discard thing is going to be huge, especially if your opponents have small hands to have all their cards, whatever. They don't have small hands. They have a small hand of cards. Anyways, so that part I think will be better for limited. The part that I want to focus on Commander is the creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn. If you have a card like Maha, it's Feathers Night Out, that's board wiping your opponents. Maha makes creatures your opponents control have base toughness 1. So then you play Seeker's Folly, giving creatures your opponents control -1/-1 until end of turn. You board wiped all your opponents. You can now swing out for the win. So this is huge. I think it's awesome. Moving on to Mono Red, we have Kellen, Planar Trailblazer. He's a 2/1. He does the things. He's being Kellen. I'm really excited about him having his own commander card here, especially for mono white. And look at that CMC. It's only 1 red. So that's kind of crazy. He does all this stuff, doing red shenanigans. I kind of want to focus on the cards here, though. He's just the cool new commander. First off, we have Twin Flame Tyrant, a mythic dragon as a 3/5 flyer. If a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that damage instead. Obviously, we're doing all the burn, crazy, big creature things in red, so really exciting here. I'm absolutely obsessed with this dragon because I play Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight, so I'm having the sources I control deal double damage anyways, and so having them do double damage with double damage is crazy. But if I have cards like Warstorm Surge out, where whenever it enters, its CMC is dealing damage, oh my gosh, I mean, doubling that, it's going to be huge. This is going to be really fun in all kinds of decks. We're going to hate to see it, but love to play it. Rite of the Dragon Caller is an enchantment, love that, also a mythic. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. This just rewards you for playing cards. So now, whenever you play literally anything the rest of the game, you're not only getting whatever you're trying to play, you're also getting a 5/5 red dragon with flying. Nothing could be better. We're bumping up our board state. I love it so much. And again, enchantment removal is difficult. People don't really be running that. So kudos to you. Now we got a sorcery for 1 mana, 1 CMC, I mean. Great CMC, love that. It deals 3 damage to each opponent. So I love this. You don't have as much versatility like Lightning Bolt. So you're not being able to choose the specific target. So it's not as pointed of a spell, but it's doing damage everywhere. And if you have Twin Flame Tyrant out, it's dealing 6 damage to each opponent. Oh my gosh. And then if you have Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight, not only is it bumping up from Twin Flame Tyrant becoming 6, it would then become 12. So I think as a 1 CMC card, this is insane. It doesn't even matter that it's a sorcery. I don't care. I would get to do so many shenanigans with this. I'm excited. Finally, we have Bulk Up. It's an instant. Double target creature's power until end of turn, also getting flashback. So the fact that you're able to swing out for so much damage is insane. I know that damage on the stack and like all the way that it's dealt, damage is dealt just changed. So you want to be careful. You want to make sure you're playing this at the right time, but it has flashback. So you get to do all kinds of stuff here. And again, Twin Flame Tyrant, all these things that in mono red get to make your damage hit harder anyways. You're going to have your creatures be doing so much shenanigans with Bulk Up. Lastly, we're going on to mono green. We got Loot, Exuberant Explorer. Oh my gosh, the least noble. I love this guy. He's a 1/4 and playing an additional land on each of your turns. Yes, thank you, Loot. You can also tap 4 and 2 green and him to look at the top 6 cards of your library, able to reveal a creature card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from among them and put them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So the fact that he's just a 1/4 playing additional land is huge. Absolutely such an amazing mono green creature. But his ability here, being able to look at the top cards, but then you're able to put something on the battlefield is insane. It's not going to hand. It's going to the battlefield. So he's going to be a really hated commander, I think, and the fact that he has such a low CMC, people are going to target you. They don't want you to have your mana, and they don't want you getting something on the battlefield, but he has a 2 and 1 green CMC, so that means it's going to be super easy to recast him from the command zone. Keeping on theme with a mythic here, we got Quilled Great Worm as a 7/7 worm with trample. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage during your turn, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. That's crazy. Again, I'm obsessed with +1/+1 counters, so really exciting for that. Green decks also love +1/+1 counters, so that's going to be huge for you. But then you can also cast this card from your graveyard by removing 6 counters from among creatures you control in addition to playing its other costs. So again, we get options. I love to see that. I'm not a huge graveyard person, so I'm probably never going to do that last part, even though it is really easy to do, because if you're playing a +1/+1 counter deck, you got counters out your wazoo. They're going to be everywhere. It's going to be super easy to remove 6. Doesn't really matter, but the fact that it gets trample, it's starting off as a 7/7, you guys. If it hits for 7, you're putting 7 counters on this, it becomes a 14. Like, that's insane. People are going to go after this hard, but the trample, it doesn't even matter. You've done your damage, good to go. Mossborn Hydra is elemental Hydra with trample, entering with +1/+1 counters on it, where whenever a land you control enters, double the number of +1/+1 counters on this creature. So it's entering as a 1/1, but whenever you play a land, you double the +1/+1 counters on this. So you're not just adding, you're doubling. And you're able to add +1/+1 counters to this by doing other shenanigans with other cards. If you have Quilled Great Worm out, Mossborn Hydra swings out for damage, you're already putting +1/+1 counters on it for that. And then when you play a land, you're just going to double. So I would definitely hold your land back, play them after the other shenanigans you want to do. But this is a huge Hydra card. Now we're moving on to a Spider Spirit on this 4/3 reach of Spinner of Souls. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I think the fact that this is a spider with reach, also a spirit with reach, is great because it's a 4/3, so a lot of our spirits are tiny, so this guy is going to win in the combat tricks, but the fact that it's a death trigger on other creatures you control, you just want to be careful because it is non-token creatures. So if we're playing green, we probably have some, tokens going on, Scoot Swarm, whatever. So you want to be careful that it's only for your non-token creatures. So you want to be careful on making sure this triggers when you want it to. Finally, we have Sylvan Scavenging, an enchantment where at the beginning of your end step, choose 1. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, or create a 3/3 green raccoon creature. And if it has... create a 3/3 green raccoon creature token if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. We're in green. Our creatures are huge. Look at that 7/7 Quilled Great Worm. It's going to be easy. That's fine. Totally good. So basically, this is just having an enchantment where you're able to do the green thing. You're either making tokens or you're putting +1/+1 counters. Either way, it's a win-win. All right, so let's take a look at these multicolored new commander cards that we got. There are 6 of them, and they're all really exciting. Starting off with Alicia, who laughs at fate. It's a 1 in black and red, 2/2 human warrior with first strike, and whenever she attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. There's also a raid ability here, which is going to be super easy because you're playing Rakdos. We're doing the black-red thing. We're hitting for combat, we're doing all the tricks, so it's going to be great. But at the beginning of your end step, if Alicia attacked, return target creature card with mana value less than or equal to Alicia's power from your graveyard to the battlefield. Again, this is to the battlefield, not to hand. It's going to be great. You're going to have so much fun, and you just want to make sure that you're going fast, doing smash. It's going to be a great time. Moving on over to a lifelink hexproof from Instance. That's exciting. Vampire Knight. We got Alinda, Saint of Dusk. She's a 4/4, and as long as your life total is greater than your starting life total, she gets +1/+1 and has menace. Then Alinda gets an additional +5/+5 as long as your life total is at least 10 or greater than your starting life total. This is a really fun new life gain shenanigans kind of commander, because I love the hexproof from Instance. So if you're trying to remove her, it's going to be really difficult. So good luck. I'm excited. The +5/+5, +1/+1, menace. It's just going to be so much going on. Your opponents won't be able to catch up. Now we got Coma World Eater. Did we really need another Coma? I don't know. But anyways, this one's super good. He can't be countered. Is trample and ward 4 for an 8/12. Absolutely insane. Oh my gosh, if that wasn't enough, he also has whenever Coma deals combat damage to a player, create 4 3/3 blue serpent creature tokens named Coma's Coils. This is absolutely nuts. I mean, he costs 7, so he's beefy and meaty to get out. So hopefully that slows us down if your opponent's playing this. Oh my gosh, this is just too much, you guys. Did it really need all that? Can't be countered? Ward 4? My goodness gracious. It's going to be absolutely bonkers in a game, because if it deals combat damage to a player, you're making 4 coils. I just can't. That's too much. It's so strong. All right, Kaikar, Zephyr Awakener, a blue wizard, 3/4 flyer. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose 1. Exile another target creature you control. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So we're blinking, we're doing stuff. If they put something on you, a curse, and you don't want it, say, hey, this curse is yours now. So that's great. But you could also create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So if you want to get some protection, get some flying damage in, I mean, he gives you options. That's nice. It's also a lower CMC, so that's pretty cool. Niv Mizzet, Visionary, Dragon Wizard, 5/5 flying, and you have no maximum hand size. That's awesome. Love to see that, especially because Dragons and Wizards, we're doing spell slinging shenanigans, and so we need cards out our wazoo. So thank you for the no max hand size. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you draw that many cards. What? Oh my gosh, you're drawing so many cards and you have no max hand size. This is the perfect commander. If you've never done a spell slinging deck, I highly recommend Niv Mizzet Visionary. You can bump down the high CMC there. It costs 6 to get out, 4 a red and a blue. So it is kind of like a higher CMC'd commander. But if you've never done Spell Slinger before, this guy gives you protection. He's a 5/5 flyer. You don't have to swing with him. He's perfect for holding back as a blocker if you want. But the no max hand size and card draw here is crazy. So love Niv Mizzet here. Finally, we're looking at Zimone, Paradox Sculptor, a 1/4 human wizard. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control, and you can tap a green, a blue, and Zimone to double the number of each kind of counter on up to 2 target creatures and or artifacts you control. So not only can we do shenanigans with +1/+1 counters, or shield counters, whatever you want. It's going to be great. You can do all kinds of stuff, not only for your creatures, but this also affects the artifacts you control. So I love the fact that we're getting some more gameplay strategies going on in the Simic stuff here with Zimone. I think this is going to be really fun. She's popping off. It's going to be great. Finally, last but not least, we are looking at our colorless spells. I'm going to focus on 4 cards here. The first one I am so excited about is Banner of Kinship. Look at that Bloomburrow art. Look at it. Adorable. Anyways, this is also a typo card, so I'm a typo player. I love this so much. It does have a beefy CMC. She starts at 5, but as an artifact, again, hard to remove, so I'm loving it already. As this artifact enters, choose a creature type. This artifact enters with a fellowship counter on it for each creature you control of the chosen type, and creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each fellowship counter on this artifact. Listen, do the bunny thing. If you're popping off making all kinds of bunnies, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. You're going to have so many tokens anyway, so when you play Banner of Kinship, this is going to have all of the fellowship counters, and you're just having a party, raising up the banner, get ready to have your party, do the dance. It's going to be great. +1/+1. This is a game-winning strategy. Give your creatures trample. Absolutely nuts. Also, an amazing rare that we are getting is Leyline Axe, an equipment where if this card is in your opening hand, you may begin with it on the battlefield. How exciting! Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has double strike and trample. I know sometimes we can get these humongous creatures, but it really doesn't matter because I can chunk block with a 1/1, but this is giving it trample as well. So the fact that you're getting double strike trample is going to be huge. So making your ginormous creature have trample, you're welcome. Scrawling Crawler is a Phyrexian Construct 3/2 creature, artifact creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card, and whenever an opponent draws a card, that player loses 1 life. This is going to be perfect for group hug decks. You're being like, hey, I'm giving you cards. What more could you want? But it's going to ping them. It's going to be great. At the end of the day, you're going to do all kind of politicking here, so I'm really excited. Finally, we have Ravenous Amulet. An artifact where you can tap 1 in Ravenous Amulet to sack a creature, drawing a card and putting a soul counter on this artifact, activating only as a sorcery, which will help you for this next part. You can tap 4 in Ravenous Amulet, sacking this artifact, each opponent losing life equal to the number of soul counters on this artifact. You want to make sure that you're proliferating. You want to make sure that you're getting all kinds of counters on this anyways. If you're running sack outlets, this is just going to help you do that easier. It's an artifact. People won't be able to remove this like your creatures that are helping you to sack things. So you're going to get so many counters on this. And at the end of the day, I hope that this really helps you get the cards that you want, but also you could just tap 4 in it, do the thing, and win in a huge way. So that would be hilarious. Good luck, and I hope you love these spells. So as you can see, there are a lot of amazing new commander cards from Magic the Gathering Foundations. I'm really excited to see the big scary guys like the new Coma. That's insane. Also, Alacia is going to be an awesome Rakdos great commander, but then we're also getting some staples like Banner of Kinship. That's perfect for any typo deck. I hope that you're able to see something that you like. Obviously, there's a lot of mid-range stuff in there, more casual. That's the kind of player I am. So truly everything's a 7, but regardless of what kind of player you are, I hope that you found something here that is going to help your commander decks moving forward. I hope you have a wonderful time with this set. Let me know what you think of Foundations and the Queen Honey Games Discord. The link's in the description, so come and hang out. I'd love to hear about all of the deck building that you're doing, and I need you to help me with mine, so come and hang out in there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today, and as always, happy gaming!